How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. Before we jump in, I need you to do me a huge favor. Everybody who's been around for a little while, you know what to do, which is jump inside of the chat widget and tell us where you're joining us from, what you're excited about, what you feel life and momentum on. Also, do me a huge favor. We have a four-word mission statement at Life Coach Training Institute, and it is proficient coaches, thriving practices. Every time we get together on a Mentor Monday, and I know this is a freebie, but we are always into following through and doing what we say that we are going to do. So whether you saw this listed on our Facebook, you saw this promoted on our YouTube, you found this on our website, you got an email from us or whatever, we're going to follow through and we're going to do exactly what we say that we're going to do. And most of you already know that because you're on here tonight. So do me a huge favor, like this post or love it, whatever, comment preemptively. That tells Facebook and YouTube that we're doing a good job. And if we do not follow through, then I invite you at any point to take your like away and close up the screen anytime that you want. But we are going to do a really great job. We've been in a series called The Fear of Success. And some of you actually learned a couple of weeks ago that you actually have a fear of success. So we did a little bit of a survey. We did some questions there. And many of you learned some of those things. And over the last couple of weeks, we've been showing not only for you to apply it to yourself, but how to help other people, your clients, get a breakthrough in the area of the fear of success. Keep those comments rolling on. It's a good time for me to tell you that I am currently traveling. So I'm not able to look into the chat to interact like I normally do. So if you would, just please jump inside the chat, say hello to me. I'm going to be looking at it. I just can't interact with you because I'm traveling. But do me a huge favor and do that and like this post and share it. That's going to tell Facebook and YouTube that we are doing a good job. So what are we talking about this week? Well, this week we are talking about, we're actually, I believe, in week 4 of this series, The Fear of Success. And we're talking this week specifically about losing yourself as you grow. Now, we did a little bit of a survey a couple of weeks ago. I'd invite you to go back if you missed that, where you can find out if you or somebody that you know actually has a challenge with a fear of success. And you can go back to that a couple of weeks ago and grab those slides as well. And you can utilize this with your clients to help them process some of these things. So we give you some great questions to help someone figure out where they live when it comes to that. But there's different components to the fear of success. We talked about some of those things over the last couple of weeks, particularly, what happens as a result of growth, the pressures that come that you perceive are going to be hitting you if you really are your best. And so a lot of times what people will do is that they will kind of back away. They will live short of their potential, and they know in many cases that they're not doing the best job that they could be doing because they perceive on that other end it could be a lot of pressure or a lot of other kinds of negative things that are going to come along there. Again, I'll invite you to go back over the last couple of weeks and look at that. This week, we are specifically targeting this challenge of losing yourself as you grow. What do you mean by that, Paul? I mean the fact that when you are going after things in your life, when it comes to success, when it comes to making your way over here and actually achieving that goal and getting some of your deepest desires, there's one really, really big thing that is going to change in your life. And you know what that's going to be? It's going to be the person that you see in the mirror. Because to achieve this goal, to be successful, means some things. It means that you are doing things that ordinary people probably wouldn't be doing. And probably things that you wouldn't be, not negative things, but you will have different habits. You will have different actions. You will be thinking in a different way. You will be showing up in a different way. See, if we were right now in that manifested state where everything that we were thinking about was on point, everything that we were doing in our habits was on point, every action we were taking that was on point, then we would already have that thing over there. So to be able to live in at this place means that I've got to think differently. I got to have different habits. I've got to show up differently. And that means that I am going to change. The person who I see in the mirror every day, that person's going to be different. I'm going to be a different person over there. And that scares people. Now, before we jump in, for some of you who would like the slides, here's how you can get them. Text the word slides. Don't text any other words. Text the word slides. Some of you are going to wish you texted the word slides to 833-258-7547 later. So just do it now. That way you can download these beautiful slides, and you're going to have the coaching tools that I'm going to be giving you during the session. We already have them mapped out in the slides. That way you have them, just do it really quick, and then you have it. Cool? All right. Now, let's begin. What is this? What is this thing of losing yourself as you grow? Well, for many people, success brings up a fear of actually losing themselves. And maybe a really big part of that fear is actually becoming someone that they don't want to be. So that means that maybe for some of you, even who are in the room, you are afraid of being seen as a selfish person. You're afraid of being seen as a greedy person. You're afraid of one day becoming unrelatable, where success changes you, or you are afraid of appearing arrogant. And so what happens for many people, that the way that fear of success looks for them is that they fear abandoning the parts of themselves that make them feel like they're grounded, humble, or loyal. And what is definitely true here is because, again, this is a fear, this is a bad lens. They have a deeply rooted belief that growth will pull them out of alignment with who they really are. And let me say this again, this is a perceived reality, this is a tweaked reality, this is a limiting belief. But there's so many people who actually have this limiting belief that success means that I am not going to be a person that I like, or that I'm going to become a person that I dread, or that I'm going to become a person that is suddenly unrelatable and other people don't like and they don't judge. And so what happens is that I am going to withhold and actually sabotage myself when it comes to getting close or whatever, because I'm so afraid of who I'm going to become. Well, here's the reality. Reality check for everybody. We're already becoming someone. No one is the same person that they were 10 years ago, were they? Are they? 5 years ago, even 1 year ago. Now, maybe we're not talking about drastic changes, but we are talking about changes nonetheless. And I would guess that probably all of you could give a strong argument that any change that you guys have experienced over the last 10, 15, maybe the last 5 years or 1 year has been a positive change. You know, we're not regressing, we're actually becoming. So it would be not really honest with ourselves if we think that we're not changing already. Now, let me give you a little bit of research on this. I try to do that each week in this series as well. There was a study in the Harvard Business Review that found that high performers often walk away from opportunity, not because they're unqualified, but because they fear it will shift their identity in ways that they're not ready for. And let me give you another piece of research. And this is actually a psychological principle. And it's a psychological principle called the self concept maintenance. And it shows that people will act in ways that align with their current identity, even if it contradicts their goals, because internal consistency feels safer than transformation. What does that really mean? It means that we're kind of programmed to stay stuck. And we're actually kind of programmed to stay with what is comfortable and what is normal and what I believe my perceived reality and how everybody's relating and accepting me and how I accept myself. I'm going to be comfortable with what I know, and I'm going to stay here because of that fear of what change might bring. Is it possible that you can look in the mirror and not like what you see there anymore. That's a fear that we need to address. And I want to encourage you that when it comes to actually achieving the success, I mean, the only reason why you're concerned about it right now is I really believe that your heart is good. Now, if you didn't really care about those things at all, then I'd be worried about your heart. But the fact is that everybody who's listening to me right now, if you're actually experiencing this, and the people who are experiencing this, it's because they actually care about who they are. They care about their values. They care about what matters. They care about ethics. They care about morals and all of those things. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Because your heart actually cares and it's wired for those things, it means that when you get this thing over here, it's actually going to magnify the greatness that's in your heart already, the love that's in your heart, the compassion that's in your heart, and everything else. I kind of mentioned this last week. Success or money or whatever it looks like, power, status, whatever, you know what those things do? They don't make you go bad. They actually reveal what's actually in your heart. Now, if you know there's bad things in your heart, then I would say go to work on your character. But if you know that you've got a good character right now, you actually care about people, you care about who you are and the way that you show up, the fact that you're treating people well, the fact that you're doing the right thing as much as it's up to you and everything else, then I think that you're really in a great position to actually grab a hold of success in your life. So I want to show you what this actually sounds like. This worry of losing self sounds like. It sounds like this. I don't want to become one of those people. Now, that can sound a little bit judgmental, but here's what I would say. We have an idea. We probably could define what those people are. And so this is one of the things, and you hear this out of people. It gives them an excuse to not go after things because they're like, I don't need that because I don't want to become one of those people. Well, why do we have to become something that we don't want to be because we've achieved a certain level of success? It's kind of allowing me to bow out and opt out of actually being as good as I could be. Here's another way that it sounds. If I grow too much, I'll lose touch with what really matters. It's part of the way that fear sounds. People change when they get successful and not for the better. You've heard these things. I know you've heard these things. Many of you, you've heard that from your family when you're growing up. See, we can go back to last week where we were talking about when you grow and when you succeed. Sometimes it's actually making your relationships change. Sometimes those relationships get a little bit, well, I don't know, they get a little bit tense because people knew you in a certain way and they expected you to. And so a lot of times we're afraid of success because we're afraid of rejection or losing connection with family or friends and some of those other things. And so some of us have heard these very things from maybe family members, maybe even parents or something like that. I want success, but not if it changes who I am. This is what it'll actually sound like. Well, how does it show up though? Worry of losing self shows up in these ways. That means that with our clients, that means that you're going to see them avoid next level opportunities that require visibility, leadership, or influence. You might see them resisting financial success because of beliefs about wealth or power or this whole idea of selling out. We hear a lot of those kinds of things these days. We hear it in the media, we hear it in politics and everything else. So there's a lot of that language that's kind of floating around. And you know what that language actually does? When people say that, it's actually a work of manipulation because we're actually telling people, I don't want you to behave. I don't want you to interact with people. I don't want you to compromise. And I mean compromise in a good way. I don't want you to come to the table with people. And so we kind of use that language really as a control mechanism to make people feel bad or make them afraid that they're going to be rejected. Uh-oh, what did I do? Let me see if I can fix that. There we go. We fixed it. A lot of times, what you'll see is people who stay attached to their struggle because it's part of how they relate to others. What does the struggle look like? Maybe it looks like barely getting by. Maybe it looks like, you know, things being really hard for them or struggle. It can be a number of different things. But a lot of times, what people do is that they get their identity out of what their struggle is, their difficulty, and all of those other kinds of things, or their story up to now. Feeling tension between growth and their values, even when they want both. And I want to throw this in here because it's what I'm trying to do every week. Here's what it looks like and shows up in the life of an aspiring coach. That means that you'll see a new coach undercharge or under earn to stay real or accessible. For a new or aspiring coach, that means that you'll see them avoid personal branding because, well, that feels like ego to me, or hesitating to step into leadership roles within their own niche. Again, and all of these things, it's making this person play a smaller game for this particular reason. And one more, feeling like success might taint their original mission. This is a big one that gets coaches all the time. And I understand that what we are after is transformation. We're after really big things. We're after changing the world. We're after life change, all of that other stuff. I mean, I agree with you on that. Um, but we have to understand that to help the world, to change the world and everything else, you're not going to be of any kind of service at all if you are so undercharging and so under earning that you can't even take care of yourself. You can't leave your full-time job. You don't have freedom to be able to go to that meeting, to go to that networking group, to go on that podcast, to go and speak. So, like, wherever that needs to be to make you more accessible, where you can help more people, there are things that you actually need to do. So what you end up doing is, because of this fear of what I'm going to become, what people end up doing is that they minimize themselves and they minimize their impact as a result of it. So, what can we do to fix this? I want to give you 3 coaching tools that take out different aspects of this. First coaching tool is that we want to help them identify the role conflict. So we want to help our clients see which parts of their identity actually feel threatened by success. And in all coaching, we ask brilliant questions. So here's a couple of questions to be able to help them with that. What role have you always played that success would challenge or erase? Remember, so many people get their identity out of the role that they are in. And so we need to find out what they're thinking about that. How are they processing that? It's a great question. Here's another question. How can you honor where you came from without staying stuck in it? And again, that whole fear of changing, of stepping away from, in many cases, a lot of times people will say, well, never forget where you came from. Okay, well, that's fine. But how can you honor that while at the same time not getting stuck in the same thinking and the same habits and the same actions in your life? Whose voice are you hearing when you say, I don't want to become that person? It's a really important question here because in many cases, we are doing things that are not the things that we want to do, but in many cases, we have a voice that's echoing in the background. Maybe it's someone's dad, maybe it's a mom, maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a grandparent, maybe it was some kind of a mentor. I don't know. But a lot of times these voices end up being an echo, and they were voices that gave us a certain sense of who we were and what was most important, and what we should value or we shouldn't value, and that these voices in many cases kind of gave us affirmation. They might have given us identity in a previous season, or they might have given us value in a previous season. So if that voice is still echoing and we're related, we're still connected to that voice. So we need to identify what that voice is. Because if that voice is still speaking for us and it's keeping us from success, then we probably need to change the voices that we're listening to. Here's another tool: redefine growth. And when I say that, what I mean is that we're going to help clients redefine success in a way that maintains their authentic selves. Again, what's happening in our definition, in our perception of growth, is that the rules are not fair to us. We want to make the rules fair so that I can have success and I can be my authentic self at the exact same time. Here's a few questions that can help you with that. What if success didn't change who you are? It revealed more of who you've always been. This is a great reframe on that. It's to get them to think differently. What if success didn't change who you are? It revealed more of who you've always been. Here's another question: what does success with integrity look like to you? And so, what are we doing is that we want the client to think about who they would be in the future and how they can live authentically and not give up their values along the way. How will you know if you're still living your values even while expanding? Again, what are we going to do is that we're going to help them get aligned with what their values are. If you know what your values are, you can live your most fulfilling life. And if you know what that is while you're going towards success, then you will live aligned and you won't be feeling like you're cheating yourself. Here's the last tool. Last tool is who I am becoming. Because again, like I said a while ago, is that we are always evolving, we're always changing. So what we want to do is that we want to help our clients build a new identity that includes both who they are and who they're becoming. Here's the questions that you would ask. Or what I would say is not ask, but what we're going to do is that we're going to fill in the blank with these statements. I'm someone who can grow without losing my blank. And what are we doing is that we're helping the client with this tool to fill in the blank. So, again, what are they doing is that they are talking about who they are and who they are becoming. So, if they can start talking about, like, I'm someone who can grow without losing my morals and ethics. I'm someone who can grow without losing my respect for my family or my self respect or whatever, without losing my reputation in my faith community or something like that. This again allows them to nail it. Um, another way to do it: I can be powerful and still stay. And what are they going to do? They're going to fill in the blank with what's most important. Maybe it's humble. Maybe it's meek. Maybe it's honoring. Maybe, I mean, it could be any number of things. Here's another way that we could phrase it: success gets to look like blank for me. Who gets to determine all these things? Well, what we believe is if the client really knows who they are at their core, then they can fill in the blanks of these things. And what are we doing again? We're helping our clients get into alignment and get them out of fear of going after this thing. Just as a quick wrap up, final thought: you don't have to become someone else to succeed. You just have to stop pretending you're still who you used to be. Because as I said, we've all changed and we've all changed for the better. Let me pay the bills really quick, but if you want those slides, text the word slides, no other word, slides, SLIDES, to 833 258 7547. Let me pay the bills, you guys. For those of you who have not gotten trained and certified yet, we've got a great opportunity coming up April 25th through the 27th. That is our 3-day weekend boot camp that allows you to knock all of your life coach certification training out of the way from a Friday to a Sunday. You can get it all knocked out. Now, what's it actually include, though? Well, there's 7 powerful weekend sessions. This is what we cover in each session. Session 1 is Foundations of Coaching. That's what we do on that Friday night. We help you understand what coaching is versus every other helping role that is out there so that you've got a firm understanding of what it is that we do. In session 2, we start that session by looking at a coaching session because I know some of you have never seen it before. And so what do we do is that we look at a coaching session and then we dissect it. And I give you the anatomy of what are all of the components of a coaching session. We go from that to how to help your clients get extraordinary results. We talk about goals and accountability. How do we set goals? How do we help our clients stay on point with goals? We have 2 sessions on how to listen on a transformational level. We help you figure out what your filters are, your biases, and then we also show you the things to actually look for and listen for when you're in a coaching session. Session 6 is how to ask powerful questions. Session 7 is how to establish a growing coaching practice. That session alone, I show you what 6-figure coaches do to create multiple streams of income and a lot of other things. We talk a bit about business structure. We talk about coaching agreements. Everything is actually included in that session. That session alone is worth thousands of dollars in and of itself. Over the course of the weekend, we do live coaching demos. So that means that you get to practice, you get to observe other people practice as coaches and get feedback. And we also have live Q&As. So as we're going through the material, we stop at a certain point in each session, and you're able to ask your questions live and get feedback. Plus, you're going to be connected with a global group of coaches throughout the entire weekend. What all is included? Just what I said, those 7 live sessions with live Q&As and role playing. You're also going to get, what we're going to do is that we're going to save you a lot of time and money. You'd pay hundreds of dollars for someone to create all of your welcome pack and coaching agreements and all of that stuff that you're going to need. And what we did is that we saved you the time and the money because we know that this would take about 100 hours to create. Inside Canva, we've created all of your welcome pack and your coaching agreement and everything that you need. And it's completely brandable, editable. You just are able to pull it even into a free Canva account and make whatever edits that you need. We're also going to start you off with a coaching tool starter kit. 5 tools that help you get get breakthrough and impact really quickly. We also give you hundreds of question samples over the course of the weekend. Obviously, you're going to earn your life coach certification and get your certificate. You get replays and handouts. And plus, all of our programs include live Tuesday night coach training. I know that we're cramming in a lot in a weekend, and maybe you would like to continue to engage with us and show up, whenever you can to get your questions answered. This is why Tuesday nights are so important. Tuesday night, every Tuesday from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific. That is 7 to 9 Central, 8 to 10 Eastern. That way, you're never on your own. You can connect with other coaches globally. You can get homework buddies. You can get support, get your questions answered. You're not going to be on your own. The cost of this program, the value is at least $3,500. We're only charging you $295. We have payment plans if that's a little bit too steep to come out of pocket. But the link to enroll in this program and any of our programs is actually inside the description of this video. It'll take you 90 seconds to get enrolled. You can get your coaching certification knocked out this month. At the end of the month, you can be done and you can start taking clients and building your 6-figure business. Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Have a great rest of your week and take care.